Imagine, if you will, a quiet medieval abbey. It's almost Christmas, usually a peaceful time, right?
Mm-hmm.
But for the people in these pages you shared with us, well, that quiet is about to be completely shattered.
Yeah, exactly. These excerpts, they just drop us right into this moment of sudden political trouble hitting the Abbey,
And then...
and then a mysterious death
Mm.
lands right on their doorstep. It really pulls back the curtain on, the tensions bubbling under that calm medieval surface.
Okay, so our mission in this deep dive is to unpack these pages for you. These sources really pull us into this specific time and place.
We're going to try and figure out who's who, the key players,
The hidden conflicts.
and the surprising twists that lead to this quest for justice. A quest where law and loyalty get seriously tested.
All right, let's dive in, maybe start with the bigger picture, the politics.
Good idea. So you can see from the sources the backdrop is King Stephen's reign.
Yeah.
He's recently been acknowledged by Pope Innocent.
And the Pope sent a legate, Alberic.
That's right. Legate Alberic. He's in England, holding a council in London.
And this council directly affects our abbey.
He does. Abbot Heribert gets summoned. The sources are pretty blunt. You have to go to London to account for his stewardship.
And his abbacy is actually suspended?
Yes, suspended. And the why seems to go back a bit. The sources mention the confusion of the times, and that Abbot Heribert was maybe a bit slow, to accept King Stephen's authority when the king visited earlier.
Ah, so now the legate's calling him on it.
Pretty much. Holding him accountable for that past hesitation.
Okay, so the abbot's gone, his power's on hold. What does that mean day to day for the abbey, for you reading this?
Well, the immediate impact is practical. He can't seal documents.
Ah, the seal. Crucial.
Totally. So, important abbey business just stops. Like that grant of a house near the mill pond to this Master Bonel. Held up.
And there was something else? The Hales Fee Farm?
Yep, that stuck too.
Yeah.
And the sources make a point of saying how inconvenient this is, especially for Master Bonel.
He was expecting to move in.
Before Christmas specifically. Now he's stuck, uncomfortable, just basic business getting snarled up by these high-level politics.
So with the abbot away, someone steps into the power vacuum, right? Prior Robert.
Oh yes, Prior Robert. And you see right away in the text, he doesn't waste any time, moves straight into the abbot's lodging.
Which doesn't sit well with everyone.
No, it's seen as great presumption. The sources tell us he fully expects to become the next abbot. And he's feeling pretty good about himself. Especially pleased with the recent grant the abbey got the manor of Mallory. He's definitely making moves.
There's that really dark comment from Brother Petrus, the cook.
Oh, yeah. Muttering that once Robert gets his foot in the door, it will take a dose of hemlock to get him out again.
Chilling, especially considering what happens next. It really shows the tension, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. Because, bang, suddenly Master Bonel is found dead.
In that house by the mill pond. The one he couldn't move into properly.
That's the one. And the descriptions. Well, they're grim. Leaden blue face. The dilated pupils. His features congealed now into a livid mask.
Sounds like poison. Classic sign.
Exactly. Which is when they call for Brother Cadfael, the Abbey herbalist.
He's the one with the medical knowledge, but not formally trained, right? More practical.
Right. Experience by trial and study, the text says. Very hands-on.
And he notices something immediately.
His senses are sharp. Amidst everything else, he picks up this faint but persistent aromatic smell.
And he recognizes it.
He does, as a mix containing monkshood, mustard, and house leek. And he knows monkshood. He's certain about its effects once it's taken. Deadly.
Okay, so poison confirmed, likely monkshood. But how?
Well, the really disturbing thing, and you see this clearly, is the connection to a meal.
Right, the partridge.
Specifically, a portion of partridge sent from the abbot's own table via Prior Robert over to Master Bonel.
But wait, didn't Prior Robert eat some too?
He did. He ate the rest of the bird himself. And he's completely unharmed.
Okay, so that's weird. It means the poison wasn't in the whole bird.
Exactly. It points suspicion squarely at that specific small portion sent only to Bonel. What happened to that dish?
All right, suspected poisoning, a targeted delivery. Who is actually there? Who is around Bonel?
The sources introduce the household. There's Richildis, Bonel's widow, Aelfric, a servant, who's described as deeply resentful. He thought he was born free, but ended up a villain bound to the land.
Okay, so potential friction there.
Definitely. And Aldith, a maid, who was involved in serving the food.
Now, Richildis, there's a huge reveal about her, isn't there?
Oh, absolutely massive. Get ready for this. Richildis is Brother Cadfael's long-lost love from, wait for it, 42 years earlier.
Wow. Okay, that changes things.
Completely. Their reunion is described as powerful, mostly silent. But her immediate unspoken plea to him is clearly about her son.
Her son, not about her husband's death.
Well, the text notes she's shocked, obviously, but not heartbroken over Bonel. Her focus seems to be elsewhere.
On her son, Edwin Gurney, Bonel's stepson.
Yes, and he immediately becomes suspect number one.
Why?
Motive. Big motive. Bonel apparently promised Edwin the Manor of Malloy, that same manor Prior Robert was so happy about.
Ah.
But then Bonel disinherited him. Took it back when Edwin decided to become an apprentice carpenter instead of, I guess, following Bonel's path.
Then that caused a fight.
A bitter public quarrel. And crucially, Edwin was at the house shortly before Bone died.
And he fled afterwards.
He did. So, motive, opportunity, flight. It looks bad.
So when the law arrives, the sheriff's sergeant...
He zeroes right in on Edwin. Makes perfect sense from his perspective.
Do other people confirm the fight?
Both Richildis and Elfric, the servant, they recount the quarrel. They mention Edwin throwing a platter after Bonel as he left.
Which just reinforces the sergeant's view.
Exactly. Seals it for him. Edwin's his man.
You mentioned Elfric. Was anyone else there in the house?
Yes, Meurig.
Hmm?
A Welsh journeyman carpenter.
Working for Edwin's master.
All right, Martin Belcott. Meurig was there. He ate in the kitchen with Elfric and Eldith. And there's little note that he has a connection to a Brother Reese in the Abbey infirmary.
Another thread. Lots for Cadfael to pull on.
Definitely. But right now, the sergeant isn't looking at threads. He's looking for Edwin.
So he goes to Edwin's master, Martin Belcote.
Straight to his workshop and house. And there you meet. Martin seems like an honest carpenter. He's also Edwin's brother-in-law.
How's that?
He's married to Sybil, who is Richildis' daughter and Edwin's half-sister.
Ah, okay. Complicated family.
A bit. And we meet their children, too, especially their son, Edwy.
Edwy. Is he important?
Very. Here's a key detail. Edwy is Edwin's nephew, but they're the same age and look incredibly alike.
Really? Like twins.
Close enough.
Yeah.
And the sources stress they're like brothers. Very tight.
Okay, I have a feeling this resemblance is going to matter.
He'd be right. It's young Edwy who overhears the sergeant loudly declaring Edwin is wanted for murder.
Oh no, what does he do?
Loyalty kicks in. He immediately runs off to find Edwin, who's apparently been hiding out in the woodyard, probably still angry after the fight.
Meanwhile, Cadfael's also looking for Edwin.
Yes, Cadfael's doing his own quiet investigation, and he finds them, Edwin and Edwy, hiding together.
And does Edwin talk to him?
He does, and this is crucial. Edwin admits the quarrel, yes. But he says what he threw into the river wasn't poison.
What was it then?
A small wooden box. A reliquary, he calls it.
A reliquary, not a vial. That's completely different.
Totally different. It's a vital piece of counter-evidence, but only Cadfael knows it right now.
So what does Cadfael do?
He wants to protect Edwin, give him time. He hides him in the Abbey barn.
But the sergeant's still hunting him.
Relentlessly. But the boys, Edwy especially, they come up with a plan.
With help from his sister, Elise.
Yes. Edwy and Alice. They decide to use that resemblance. They swap clothes, swap horses.
So Edwy poses as Edwin, knowing he'll be caught.
Incredible bravery, isn't it? He deliberately lets the sergeant capture him, pretending to be his uncle.
Buying time for the real Edwin.
Exactly. And this allows Edwin to slip out of the Abbey barn using his mother's horse, Rufus.
And Alice helps too.
She does. The sources describe the pursuit, and Alice coolly misdirects the pursuers. Tells them Edwin went east, when actually he headed west. Smart girl.
This is quite the family effort.
It really is. Loyalty runs deep there.
So Edwy is captured. Does that last long?
Well, the pursuit of Edwin brings in a new figure, Hugh Berengar, the deputy sheriff.
Ah, and he's different from the sergeant.
Very different. The sources make a point of contrasting them. Berengar is described as fair-minded. He wants the truth, not just a quick arrest and conviction.
So he talks to Edwy.
He does, and apparently he sees through the disguise pretty quickly.
He realizes it's not Edwin.
Yeah, he recognizes the swamp.
Yeah.
And what does he do? He lets Edwy go.
Really?
Releases him. And promises he will find the actual killer. This is a big moment. It starts to clear Edwin's name officially, at least with Berengar.
Okay, so Edwin's off the hook for now, thanks to Berengar's fairness. But Cadfael's still working on it, even though he got sent away?
Yes, he's sent off on Abbey business to a place called Righty Crusoe. But his mind is still on the case. He leaves instructions for his assistant, Brother Mark.
What instructions?
Go back to the Bonel house, search again, specifically, Look for a poison vial.
And does Mark find anything?
He does. He finds it. A small, greenish glass vial.
The murder weapon.
Looks like it. It has some oily residue and that distinctive aromatic smell Cadfael detected.
Okay, huge discovery. But where did he find it?
This is the absolute clincher, the vital detail. Brother Mark finds the vial near the window of the inner room.
The inner room, not the kitchen.
Exactly, not the kitchen window, which is the one Edwin would have passed when he stormed out after the argument.
So Edwin couldn't have thrown it there.
Precisely. Cadfael's analysis is immediate when he hears. The location proves Edwin couldn't have tossed it from where he was. It's strong physical evidence pointing away from him.
Wow, okay. So the vial location clears Edwin, but who did throw it?
Well, Cadfael's journey provides the next piece. As he travels towards Richildis, his road takes him near Meurig Manor.
The manor Bonel owned that Edwin was promised.
The very same.
Hmm.
And there, talking with Brother Rees and others, he learned something game-changing.
What's that?
Meurig Manor is actually Welsh land. It's part of a Welsh administrative area, a comote, called Sinlaith.
Okay.
So Welsh law applies there, the law of he will die.
And Welsh law is different from the Norman English law the sheriff operates under.
Critically different in one key respect relevant here. Under Welsh law, illegitimate sons can inherit property.
Whoa, okay. That changes everything. Potential motives, suspects.
Exactly. It opens up a whole new line of thinking.
Does Cadfael find Edwin while he's in Wales?
He does. He finds him taking refuge with a Welsh elder named Efor Morgan.
And Efor is connected to
Meurig, the Welsh carpenter. The sources say Efor is Meurig's kinsman, maybe his grandfather.
small world. Or maybe not so small in that border region. Does the sergeant find him there too?
Oh yes, the sergeant is persistent. He tracks Edwin even there. But Efor stands up to him, asserts his own authority on his land, and protects Edwin.
Good for Efor. So the Welsh law angle. How does that play out?
It comes to a head when Cadfael attends the local comote court, the Welsh court at Llansillan.
And who shows up?
Meurig. He makes this dramatic entrance, backed by Welsh elders, and he formally asserts his claim to Meurig Manor.
As Bonel's illegitimate son under Welsh law.
Precisely. He makes this passionate argument he's Gervais Bonel's blood son. And the Welsh judges, they agree with him.
They uphold his claim.
They do. They confirm his claim is valid under their laws.
Yeah.
Especially, crucially, because the Abbey's charter granting them the manor is unsealed. Remember Abbot Heribert's suspension.
Right, so the timing was perfect for Meurig. The manor was technically still under Welsh legal jurisdiction.
Exactly. It was open for a claim under Welsh law.
So Meurig is about to inherit. What does Cadfael do? This must be incredibly difficult for him.
It is. He respects the Welsh law he's witnessing. But he feels compelled to intervene. He stands up in the court.
And says what?
He asserts an impediment to Meurig's claim. He argues that under any law, Welsh or Norman, a son who murdered his father cannot inherit.
Oh, and then...
And then he publicly accuses Meurig of murdering Gervais Bonel.
Wow, the reaction.
Utter shock.
Yeah.
The sources describe Meurig's face going fixed and bloodless, a moment of just terrible realization.
Right.
And then he accepts it, turns, and flees the court.
He runs. But does he disappear?
Not quite. He follows Cadfael back to Richildis. He confronts him alone in a barn.
For revenge. To silence him.
You definitely get that feeling initially. It seemed like he intends to kill Cadfael.
Yeah.
But then he can't do it. He cries out something like, "Oh God, that I could so face my death."
He breaks down.
Yes, and the full confession comes pouring out.
He admits it all.
Everything. He used monk's hood, yes. Got it from the Abbey infirmary when he visited Brother Rees. That connection paid off.
And the motive. Why kill Bonel?
It was incredibly specific. He killed Bonel to stop the Abbey charter from being sealed.
While Abbot Heribert was suspended.
Exactly. Keeping that charter unsealed meant Meurig stayed under Welsh law, preserving his inheritance claim as the illegitimate son.
So it wasn't just hatred for his father?
No. He insists it wasn't hatred. It was about the land, his birthright under the laws he knew. He confirms he threw the vial from the inner room window, just as Cadfael deduced. And he stresses he didn't betray Edwin. He let the suspicion fall on him, but didn't actively frame him.
A complex motive born from that clash of laws and loyalties.
Deeply complex, rooted in love for the land, not just simple greed or vengeance.
So Meurig confesses. What does Cadfael do? Does he hand him over to Norman justice?
Here's another really interesting choice Cadfael makes. He decides not to.
He lets him go.
In a way, it's a blend of justice and mercy, maybe. He gives Meurig his own horse and tells him to flee deep into North Wales. Suggests a life of penance. Cadfael seems to recognize Meurig's genuine remorse, the impossible situation created by the conflicting laws, the depth of his connection to Mallory. He chooses a different kind of justice.
Wow. Meanwhile, what's happening with Edwin?
Word eventually gets back to Righty Crusoe. Berengar, the fair deputy sheriff, has accepted the evidence.
What evidence?
The record from the Welsh court about Meurig's claim and implied guilt, and importantly, Edwin's little wooden reliquary. They found it downstream near Atcham, just where Edwin said he threw it.
So that confirms Edwin's story.
Completely. Berengar officially clears Edwin of the murder. He's released and goes back home to Richildis.
And back at the Abbey, does the prior get his promotion?
Nope. Abbot Heribert returns, fully confirmed in his position by the legate. Prior Robert's ambitions are deflated. You can imagine his disappointment.
So things settle down. What about the others?
Life starts moving forward. Edwin and Edwy visit the Abbey. There's some lighthearted banter, even joking about being locked up.
That's nice to hear after everything.
Yeah. And Edwin talks about his plans. He's going to visit Ifor ap Morgan, the Welsh elder who helped him. And significantly, his first act as the new lord of Mallory. He plans to free Elfric, the resentful servant, from his villain status, grant him his freedom.
Oh, that's huge for Elfric.
Massive. And the sources hint this might open the door for a romance between Elfric and Eldith, the maid. A ripple effect of justice, you could say.
So looking back, Cadfael must feel satisfied.
I think so. You see how the threads resolve? Edwin gets Mallory, his birthright acknowledged via Welsh law in the end.
Elfric gets freedom, maybe love.
Ifor gains a sort of grandson in Edwin. Brother Rhys reconnects with his Welsh kin through Meurig's confession.
And Meurig.
Faces exile and penance, but on his own terms, in a way, acknowledging his wrong but escaping Norman law thanks to Cadfael.
Cadfael himself seems at peace with his choices, even the stolen horse.
Yeah, he accepts the minor Abbey penalty for the horse with, quiet composure. He seems content with how things landed.
And the very end.
Yeah.
Meeting with Richildis.
Yes. The story closes with him agreeing to visit her. You can almost hear that future conversation filled with decades of unspoken history, starting with, do you remember? A poignant end.
So, when you step back from these pages, what's the core takeaway?
For me, it's that incredibly tangled web of family loyalty, Edwin and Edwy, Richildis.
Mixed with that stark conflict between two legal systems, Norman English versus Welsh.
Right, and personal ambition like Prior Roberts versus this deep, almost primal love for the land that drove Meurig. It all just collided.
And some really surprising facts jumped out. That Welsh law angle changes everything.
Absolutely. And the mistaken identity plot between the uncle and nephew, so clever, so risky.
And how the whole case pivoted on where that tiny vial was found. Inches making all the difference.
In Cadfael's final act of mercy towards Meurig. Definitely not standard procedure.
It really makes you think, doesn't it? How these clashes, conflicting laws, hidden connections popping up, the choices people make under pressure, how they echo. They have huge, often unexpected results, even today.
For sure. The specifics change, but those human dynamics, those legal conflicts, they persist.
Exactly. Which maybe leaves you with this to sob out. In a world that still has conflicting rules, different legal systems, deeply held personal loyalties, what does true justice actually look like?
And, maybe even harder, who gets to decide? Who has the right or the wisdom to deliver it?